You know, but
How did the opportunity come your way to even be a part of the ensemble of Barney Miller?
well, I had, when I was doing Cuckoo's Nest, I did get a couple of movie parts because there was an agent in town here who would cast, when they would shoot a film. Like my first part was in Dirty Harry, so they're shooting Dirty Harry up here, and most of the major parts they're bringing actors up. Some of the smaller parts they might cast somebody from American Conservatory Theater or something like that. They decided that since they were going to go from one location to the other, and Dirty Harry was going to go through this tunnel, what if he got accosted by three hoods, and then he'd have another excuse to bring out his big long Dirty Harry gun, and that would be something they could do. So they asked the agent, "Can you send us three actors?" And she picked me to be one of them because she had become kind of a supporter of mine, and so it was the three of us, and their Dirty Harry comes up, and they gave me the line, "What's in the bag, man?" And he pulls out his gun, and we return take off running or something like that. And then I got a part in a film that was the second Mr. Tibbs movie with Sidney Poitier. His first one, that they call me Mr. Tibbs. He played a black cop, and this movie was called The Organization, and it was about crime in San Francisco, organized crime, and they had cast a bunch of wonderful young New York actors, Raul Julia and Ron O'Neill and Jose Perez, and anyway, I had a part in it. It was supposed to be a big chase that would rival the French Connection chase and the bullet chase in San Francisco, because the director, anyway, they ran behind on money right away, and they scratched all of that out. So we had about a 2-block chase, and then Sidney Poitier arrested me. But so I had that going on, and the guy who directed that asked me to come down and be play a bad guy in a pilot he was shooting at the show Canon. So I had a few things that were saying I could follow this path, and that's what I did. So I went down. I got involved with the Actors Studio. My friend Robert Walden, who came into the Cuckoo's Nest for a time, and he was the youngest actor ever brought into the Actors Studio. So I got much more a connection with that mask off part. I kind of found my tribe of people who had this other dimension to them,
Mm-hmm.
and what it was, the theater going way back, and Jack Nicholson said in our interview once, I remember, he said, "You can say what you want, but I'm still a public servant." When you understand it in a certain way, then it becomes something it is something noble to pursue, that has values and has something in it. And that storytelling, that's what our religions are all based on, stories. You can think of them as true stories or untrue or meaningful. Myth is another way of finding truth and finding a way to those different dimensions I was talking about earlier. Bringing them together. Um, so it all kind of happened by drift and design. The opportunities, I'd float along. And still, I don't think so much of that I had a career or I have had a career. I think of it as a careen.
Mm. That's a good way to look at it.
And after Barney Miller, I mean, during that time, now you're doing a show when there are 3 networks and PBS, and if you're in one of the network shows, well, they want to cast you in their movies of the week and their mini series that they were doing at the time. So you get offered parts, and some smaller movie parts. And I did some plays. I did a play on Jack Kerouac. I did a play. Early on, when I was just making it to New York, and I'd met this guy Jerome Ragney. He was one of the authors or writers of Hair. If you remember Hair,
oh yeah,
it was like the big kind of the age musical.
We just had Ted Lange on, who was in that too. Yeah.